I'm going to be talking on lived experience in marriage. Lived experience in marriage. After I revisit today's navigation with Ayo. Like I said, I shall be talking on lived experience in marriage. My experiences in the last 40 years in this business of marriage, of running a home. Well, I'm aware that nobody can run a home without God. Only God can run our home for us. But this is my lived experiences and with a wife, with children, with grandchildren. And I want to speak on my lived experience, and I've titled it, don't allow your extended family, your children, or money to destroy your hard-earned marriage. You will agree with me that marriage is a hard-earned institution. It could be easy, it could be soft. It could be very enjoyable, but it depends on your attention or your care over these three areas that I'm going to be mentioning this morning. I believe your marriage is cool, but even if your marriage is cool and enjoyable or enjoying, we still need a bit of counsel. I still need counsel from those who have better experience than me. You know, the first thing I want to advise is that don't allow your extended family, your children, or money to destroy your hard-earned marriage. And you will agree with me that marriage is not usually destroyed in one dramatic moment. Marriage are not destroyed in one dramatic moment. It is eroded slowly, like the erosions that you experience in your gutter, in your home, on your farm, in your business. You know, it is eroded slowly by unmanaged pressure. Unmanaged pressure from these three powerful forces that I'm going to be addressing this morning. There are pressures coming from diverse areas in our marriages, and those are the things I want to address this morning or talk about. But the first one is the issue of extended family. Extended family. We have extended family outside our nucleus family, which is the wife, the microcosm of the wife, the husband. Then the children will start rolling in one by one. When love becomes interference, when your love is being interfered with, you know, extended family is a blessing. I mean, you will agree with me, especially when you are newlywed. You need the help from the grandmother on both sides of the divide to support, especially when your woman is having the first child, and you as a father, you are becoming a father for the first time. You've never experienced it before. You need the extended family at times, and most of the time, you know. Extended family is a blessing, but without boundaries, it becomes a burden. Your extended family can be a blessing, and usually a blessing, but it can become, you know, a burden. You know, when you are not careful, they become a burden. And I want to address the common dangers that I've experienced, and I believe that most people have experienced in the trajectory of their marital life. You know, unchecked influence from in-laws, the unchecked influences of in-law on both sides of the divide. I'm not addressing the woman or the man alone. the uncheck influences. They want to be able to have input in the new home that their daughter has just entered into. And they also want to participate, surreptitiously in counseling their boy or their man, I said boy because some men are still behaving like boys, so you have to check that influence from in-law appropriately, professionally, with love, with kindness, with peace. So you don't check it with aggression. If you check it with aggression, the marriage might not even last a year. I've seen a marriage that lasted 3 weeks, so it's not an hyperbole, but we have to be very careful. Divided loyalty is a serious problem, where the in-laws on one side support their daughter, the in-law on the other side support their son. And if we are not careful and on how to manage it, we have to manage it carefully and manage it with love and manage it prayerfully. That is important. And this thing that I'm addressing today are better managed when the husband and the wife agree and they are always on the same page on what they are looking at and how to address this issue. Divided loyalty is serious, financial or emotional dependency, is very important to understand that we're in a situation where the wife depends on the husband because she might not be working, she might be on maternity leave, she might be on paid leave, but when the wife especially is 100% dependent on what is coming from the husband, that can be challenging to her. She won't be getting enough of what she needed to run a home. Women are generally home breeder because God has given them the grace to breed a home, to manage their home. But when you don't have enough money to run a home, it can be challenging, especially in a situation that we're all going through worldwide. It's a general phenomenon. Wherever you are, whether you are in Africa or you are in Europe, it's a general phenomenon. The shopping list is getting shorter. The finances are getting leaner. The shelf is even on stock. So we have to look at it. So financial and emotional dependency on the husband's single income can be challenging, especially when your husband is not earning that kind of money that is huge enough to put you on everything that you needed. Cultural expectations override marital unity. This is serious. Cultural, expectations that are overriding marital unity, especially if you are an African married to probably a white person or somebody from other background, you are an African, or even within Africa, even within the country of your situation, maybe, you could be from the east and it's from the north. There are cultural differences. It's from the west, you are from the south. There are cultural differences. You don't do this, we don't do that in Yoruba land, we don't do that in Igbo land, we don't do that in Hausa community, we don't do that in Zambia, we don't do that in South Africa. All those things will start chipping in. So it's nice if you have already, enjoy yourself, school yourself, experience what the other part of the marriage, entertain or encourages. But most importantly, whatever is the cultural differences, the two have to agree. The Bible is categorical about it. Can two even work together unless they agree? There must be agreement. There must be agreement on every step you take, on every step we take. We must understand, talk about it, live with it, wisdom principle. I want to talk about wisdom principle. A man shall live. This is important. A man shall live his family and cleave. Genesis 2, chapter 20, verse 24. Genesis chapter 2, verse 24. A lot of men are married, but guess what? They've not left home. And a lot of women are married, but they're still at home. They're still with their parents. They can't afford to leave. They can't afford to cleave. They still go to their husband, to their mother-in-law or father-in-law or either side of the divide to take counsel. And this easily destroys a family. Your spouse must become your primary loyalty, not extended family. Your spouse, whether you are the man or the woman, your spouse must be your primary loyalty. It's not everything that you have to check with your mother. It's not everything that you have to check with your father. Even if they volunteer that counsel, you have to weigh it before you deploy it into your marriage or into your children or into your finances, into your economy. You have to weigh properly. Guardrail that I want to introduce this morning is that set clear, respectful boundaries between the two of you. You must set clear and respectful boundaries among yourselves. How do we achieve this? How do we address this problem? It's good to talk. It's good to talk. Talking is important in marriage. You can't just bottle it in your heart and expect your husband or your wife to agree with you. Speak with one voice as a couple when there is external influence. And this can also happen among the parents and the children or the child. So we have to be very careful. Speak with one voice. Children are home breakers, so to say. They want to break mommy and daddy. They want to break their unity. They will go to the father. Dad, can I have this? And that they can't. And they will go to mom, can I have this? And mom begins to say, oh, go ahead. Either because she's busy or she doesn't want to be troubled. Then that is a broken home in a sense. And it's gradual. I know how to talk to my mom. I know how to talk to my dad. I know how to influence my needs. So we have to be very careful. Avoid sharing private marital issue outside. This is common. People easily talk about their marital problems to their friends in the community. They go out, and the other friend, whatever she might be experiencing, either the husband's friend or the wife's friend, they won't give you complete counsel of what they are going through in their home. Especially if in your home you are richer than them, or in their home they are richer than you. They don't want you to know their shortcomings. They don't want you to know what they are having and that you are not having. I can never take this. Do you know how much my husband give me for shopping on monthly basis? Maybe she give you, she's giving you 200,000. That cannot do it in this current society, in our system, in our economy. But whereas she's not even earning half of what you are earning, but she wants to. There is this ego on display, edging goes out. So we have to be very careful. And I say to you, secondly, I'm moving fast now. Children, I want to talk on children. They are blessings. They are blessings that can shift priorities if we are not careful. Children can easily shift priorities of the parents. Children are gifts, but they should not replace your marriage. In fact, they are gifts, they are good, they are our tomorrow, they are our life, they are our joy, but they should not replace our marriage. You can't make an omelette without an egg. The woman that you are pushing aside, that you are treating as if she's not important, without her, you can't have that child. And the husband that you are maltreating now, without him, you can't have the children. So common dangers that I want to examine this morning with children is parenting disagreement, create division. Don't disagree. Learn not to disagree. And the best way not to disagree is by talking, communication. I talk with my wife whenever I feel like I can wake up in the middle of the night and say I want to talk. Because instead of me bottling it up, finding it difficult to rest in my sleep, you can be sleeping and not be resting. You can be sleeping. A lot of people sleep and they are not resting. Resting in your sleep is when you sleep and you just throw everything out and you give the body the opportunity to rest. But when you are sleeping and you are not resting and you are thinking about what the woman said, how the children are behaving, how the school is behaving, how they are, making reports to you and reporting you to you from school, you can't sleep. You'll be thinking, how do I approach this? How do I tell this woman? I've been telling her on several occasions. How do I tell this man? I've been telling him on several occasions. He's not listening. Once you begin to use the word, he's not listening. You are not treating him as your partner. You are no more co-parenting. You are no more thinking together. There is diverse opinion. So we have to be very careful. One partner become emotional, absorbed in the children. When you are emotionally absorbing your children, you throw away the other party, whether you are the man or the woman, because there is this emotional attachment. That can be very, very difficult. So we have to be very careful. Neglect of intimacy and communication. Some people, this is common among women. They are so emotional, and you can't blame them because having carried the child in their womb for 9 months, there is complete attachment. Having brought the child to the world now, and the experience of childbirth, when they begin to travail in birth, it carries into a lot of women don't recover from this, but we don't know. People don't know, people don't take cognizance of it, and it's very important. You understand? Child-centered home instead of marriage-centered home. That is important. There is a lot of child-centered home, and it's no more a marriage-centered home. And by the time you know it, the marriage is already tearing. It's like a piece of cloth that you tear. When you tear it into two, it's not easy to mend together again. So the home should not only be child-centered, it should be marriage-centered, because that is how it started. A strong marriage creates a stable home, not the other way around. A strong marriage, you will agree with me, create a stable home and not the other way around. Protect couples' time intentionally. Have time together. The time you go out, the time you go for lunch, it could be once in a month, in a week, that you go out to have dinner together, to even stroll on the street together, or to go to play area with your children or with your child, to have emotional, support, maintain unity in discipline and values. You must maintain unity on how to discipline your home, your children, and the values that you carry along with it. Remember, your partner before your parent. That is important. Remember that you are a partner before you become a parent. And those are the times that is very, very sweet. You enjoy yourself together, you're always going out, you're always taking a walk in the community, you go out for dinner, you go out for lunch, you go out to visit your friends, you go out to the park. But in the moment you get married, you abandon that, or the moment the children begin to drop or to come, you forget that relationship. That is sad. So we have to be very careful. The final thing I want to talk about is money this morning. Money. And I tell you categorically, money is a silent divider. Money can easily divide a family or a couple. Money doesn't destroy marriages. Management and misunderstanding too. What destroys our marriage is not the money. is the management of money, and the misunderstanding of how to use it, how to deploy it is very important. That is why before marriage, I always counsel that we need to be counseled before marriage by experienced pastors, those who will disciple you or counsel you before penetrating your marriage. Doesn't have to be a pastor. You could be a deputy pastor in the community. It could be somebody that you have respect for, that can give you 3 sections or 4 sections or 2 sections of counsel. This is very important. Common danger that we should look out for is lack of transparency. When you are not transparent to your spouse, you are dishonest about how you manage your money. You only show your husband or your wife of half of what you do with your money. You pray about it. You should know your husband. You should know your wife. Because if we are not careful, I don't want to talk too much about that. If you are not careful, you can begin to break your marriage from the beginning. Lack of transparency, financial infidelity. There are some reckless spenders. It doesn't matter whether it's a man or a woman, a reckless spender. We have to look out for this. Where you just spend, you don't care, you are reckless. Unequal power dynamics. Unequal power dynamic that I mentioned could be because the husband or the wife earn better than the other party. We have to be very careful. How can you even manage a home if you cannot manage your resources? You're already a failure in finances. How can you not manage your wife or your husband, finances? So you have to be very unequal power dynamic. Money is power. Money is power. Power we agree. If you want to know a man, 3 things you have to look for: money, women. You understand now? And position, very important. So we have to be very careful. You are setting up a home, you are building a family. We have to be very close. External family financial pressure. This one is not, we don't need a rocket science to understand this. When you begin to use money to drive your home, to drive your wife, to belittle your husband, your wife, and you want to spend the money by yourself, after all, you made it. The love of money is the root of all kinds of evil. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. Practice financial openness. And don't let money drive your home. Before you start, some men don't begin to make money until the wife came into their life. And some women don't even have idea of proper money until they marry the man who is loaded by the power of the Holy Spirit. Yes, agree on shared goals and budgets. This is important, that you sit down and agree on shared goals. What do you want to do in 6 months' time? What do you want to do in 1 year's time? What is our objective in the next 5 years of moving from a rented property to our own property, of buying a car to replace or complement what we already have, so that your wife will not have to wait for you before going to do the shopping, or before taking the child out, or before doing our own thing. We have to understand this. But things like this, we need prayer. Avoid letting money become a controlling tool. Don't use your money to control your wife. And don't use money to control your husband. The husband can be the bigger Hannah. The wife can also be the bigger Hannah, But once we understand and we talk about it and we agree about it, it becomes easy. Remember, your money is not your God. Money is not your God. It should not create problem in your home. And the core insight, marriage must be guided intentionally. Your money should be your project that you want to guide intentionally. I want my marriage to be successful. I want the children in the marriage to be successful. I want the entire family to be a success story. The success and the failure of my marriage, I want to own up. And if you want to own up to the success of your marriage, then you have to put everything into it. And I'm talking of the husband and the wife. Don't let the wife be doing the hard work or the husband be doing the hard work, and you are just loading about. Looting about. We have to be very careful. A hard-earned marriage implies sacrifice. A hard-earned marriage, the title of this podcast, Navigation with Ayo, must take a very big sacrifice, and you must be ready to grow out of any difficulty that will come out of you, and you must learn to forgive. It is important. The Bible says we should not go to bed with the wrath of the day. How do you want to go to bed with the misunderstanding between you and your husband or your wife? How do you want to go to bed with it? Let the problem of the morning, let it go out in the afternoon. The problem of the afternoon, let it keep you away in the evening. The problem of the entire day, let it not be with you when you go to bed. If not, you'll be sleeping, but you will not be resting. Anything that threatens, it must be managed, not ignored. A lot of people ignore little problem that comes into the marriage. Little problem is a little problem. But there is this saying in the Bible, a little living it. Once you allow it, it's like a yeast in the dough that you are making to make bread. You need a little yeast in it, and the bread will rise. The little problem that you are overlooking can become a fire that will engulf the entire marriage that will not be solvable in the future. So I encourage people to allow unity before external influence. Unite your family. Don't bring other people into your problem, into your situation to manage for you. They can't manage it. Somebody that you are not even sure that they are managing their marriage, and you want them to come and manage your family, you'll be surprised. They can't manage their own family or their own marriage, and you want to surrender yours to them. That's a failure. Communication without assumption. This is important. You have to communicate. Learn to say, "Dear, can we talk? Dear, can we talk? My husband, can we talk? My wife, can we talk? Can we talk about that child? Can we talk about those children? Can we talk about school? Can we talk about building a house? Can we talk about buying a car? Can we talk about our saving?" It is important. Partnership before pressure. Yes. If you don't quickly form a partner or partnership, there will be pressure that will be coming that you may not be able to take on your own as husband or wife. And that is a destructive. I'm closing now. A healthy marriage is not anti-family or anti-children or anti-money. It is well ordered. When the order is right, family becomes support. You enjoy the support of your family. Children become joy to you. Your children become things of joy. No matter how many you have, maybe you have 3 or 5 or 1, as God gave it, Children become joy. Money becomes a tool that you send. Let me use this to build it. Let us use this to build the house. Let us use this to build the car. Let us use it to bless the widow in the community. Let us use this to play our part in our community where we reside. So money becomes a tool. When the other is wrong, they all become source of strain. You begin to get old or older, as you go through the trajectory of life. But I pray with you this weekend that your marriage become a success story. You will not regret marrying that man or that woman. God will guide your path. Know God. Know how to create a family altar that you pray together, that you open up to God, that you give him access into your marriage. And my prayer today is that you will not fail. God will guide your steps. Your marriage become a success story. And people will learn from you. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Good morning.